Good evening and welcome to the last episode of the Seneca Scout for 2022. I'm Taylor Bowers.
And I'm Arden Kiley. Tonight we bring you a wonderful lineup of stories from the past week, but first let's take a look at some major stories we didn't get the chance to cover fully.
Starting with business Sam Bankman-Fried, the American billionaire and CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, has been charged by U.S. authorities with, quote, one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history, end quote. After his arrest in the Bahamas, he is expected to be held in custody while he awaits extradition to the U.S. In other news, Brittany Griner, the WNBA player who was arrested in Russia 10 months ago, has been released from Russian custody in a prisoner trade with the U.S. Griner was exchanged from arms dealer Victor Bout, named the Merchant of Death, sparking arguments on many parties on whether the trade was fair.
Moving to technology, a recent breakthrough in nuclear fusion, a process that replicates how the sun produces energy, has finally output more energy than was put into it, spelling out a massive success. Although still in the very early stages of development, it could mean a revolution for energy production in the near future. And for weather, a large storm tore through the southeast across the past few days, causing many tornadoes and leaving a trail of destruction. The same storm is expected to cause significant snow and ice storms in the northeast this week.
Now let's move into our main focuses for this week. Starting with NASA's Artemis 1 mission, last Sunday, December 11th, NASA's Orion space capsule plunged into the Pacific Ocean, concluding the Artemis 1 space mission. The Artemis 1 mission was nearly a 26-day spaceflight that traveled 1.4 million miles to circle the moon, becoming the most successful step toward returning humans to the lunar surface. The next phase of the Artemis project will send a crewed mission around the moon and back, while the ultimate goal is to have a human crew reach the lunar surface by 2025, including the first woman and first person of color. Astronaut Shannon Walker estimates that NASA will be ready to reveal the crew of this next phase in the Artemis program in the next 6 months. 50 years have passed since Apollo 17 mission and the last time a human crew landed on the moon, and NASA hopes to rekindle the enthusiasm of these earlier missions with the Artemis program. To give us more information on the importance of this space mission, we checked in with SV astronomy teacher Ms. Veronica Mortier.
So we have not sent a person to the moon since before I was born. So it's been this long journey of how are we going to study space? We've been studying it robotically, but now this idea of NASA sending people back to the moon and kind of thinking ahead as to what can we do with a long-term lunar base if we have people that are permanently based on the moon, and then taking the next step from that onto Mars and further into the universe, and this amazing opportunity for exploration. There's only so much that we can get from robotic data, and the other bigger piece, I think, is just the wonder of it. The exploration with humans, it just hits different than having data that's coming back remotely.
Many thanks to Ms. Mortier. Robert Cabana, NASA's Associate Administrator, reflected on the importance of this first step by stating, quote, "We're paving a way to go not only just to the moon and Mars, but to establish a presence in our solar system beyond our home planet, to explore, to have those technologies in space, and to continue to learn and improve things here on planet Earth," end quote.
From a modern marvel of technology to the celebration of the creator of another, on Monday, Google celebrated the birthday of Maria Telx. Telx is nicknamed the Sun Queen for her works on thermoelectric devices powered by sunlight. Telx attended the University of Budapest, where she got her PhD in physical chemistry. At the age of 25, she immigrated to the United States, where she got her first job working as a biophysicist at the Cleveland Clinic. Here she helped to create a photoelectric device that would record brainwaves. She then went on to become a research engineer at Westinghouse Electric, and developed devices that converted heat into electrical energy. Her first dive into solar energy was in 1939, when she was the first part of the solar energy conservation project at MIT. Telx's work helped to land her a job with the U.S. Office of Scientific Research and Development during World War II. This is where she created a solar distiller that was capable of vaporizing seawater and turning it into drinkable water. Tillich moved on to work with the U.S. Department of Energy, where she helped engineer equipment for space and made the first solar electric house. In 1952, Maria Tillich became the first woman to receive the Society of Women Engineers Achievement Award.
And now to another groundbreaking woman and her historic accomplishments. Last weekend, Democrat mayoral candidate Karen Bass was sworn in by Vice President Kamala Harris to office for mayor of Los Angeles. Bass is the first female mayor of LA in its 241-year history and was joined in her swearing in by several barrier-breaking California women, including Harris and the first woman to lead California Senate, Toni Atkins, among others. Bass outlined what she hoped to accomplish while in office, specifically calling out the homelessness crisis in LA. Her concern for this issue were proven true when last Monday, her first day in office, she declared the state of emergency on homelessness. Bass's decision, which still needs to be approved by the City Council, will allow her to create more interim housing much quicker and create a plan for getting LA's most vulnerable residents off the streets as winter begins to hit the city. How Bass intends to establish housing or how much it'll cost remain to be seen. Now, let's check in with Caleb McGill and Seneca Scout for a special on-site presentation.
Grant Park recently revealed their newest park sponsor, UPMC. The UPMC Sports Complex at Grant Park, as it is to be named, was the result of a generous donation by UPMC Passivant. The main signing, which was revealed on December 7th, begins a 10-year contract between the two parties. This secures funding for Grant Park to continue to expand and remain a focal point throughout the community. New directional signage bearing the UPMC logo will begin to surface around the park.
Thank you, Caleb, for that exciting update. Now for a hard shift into some disheartening news. Last week, French-Canadian singer Celine Dion was diagnosed with a rare disease known as stiff person syndrome. The terminal illness affects the lungs, legs, and other motor functions. Dion, age 4, is known for her work on such hit songs as My Heart Will Go On and It's All Coming Back to Me Now. This disease gives patients a life expectancy of 6 to 20 years after onset of the disease. The cause of this disease is not yet known, however, researchers believe it to be an autoimmune response gone wrong in the spinal cord and brain. There is no known cure for this rare neurological disease. However, with occupational therapy, the effects of the disease can be limited.
And to cap off this week's show, let's bring focus back home to our Pittsburgh Penguins. This past Monday, the Pittsburgh Penguins hosted their third annual Pride game against the Dallas Stars. The team showed their support for the LGBT+ community by sporting jerseys with rainbow emblems and numbers, as well as wrapping their sticks in rainbow tape. The team won the game 2-1. In support, they are auctioning off warm-up jerseys, pucks, signed items, and more.
I think as professional athletes, we have a huge platform to use, and we need to use it to make positive change in this world.
We take pride in being inclusive and having diversity and valuing that. And it's a really important statement, I think, on behalf of our fans and all of our teams that diversity is important and pride is important to us.
Everyone wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They all have things they want to do. Everyone wants to play sports or do art or music or things like that. And I think the ability to be inclusive and to see someone who might be a little bit different than you and have them join you, I think that's awesome.
It's important to show as a league that we stand as one about the support that we have for the LGBTQ+ community, and we want to make sure that we continue that support.
Proceeds will be donated to You Can Play, a social activism campaign dedicated to the eradication of homophobia in sports. This organization works to ensure safety and inclusion for all who participate in sports. The team's social media showed support for their Pride game, however, some Pens fans didn't share the team's support. Comments like, "This is ridiculous," "We'll always like the Pens, but will not always support what you do," and "Freak show tonight at PPG" flooded the comments. The Penguins have not yet responded to the backlash and are set to play the Carolina Hurricanes this Sunday at 5. And that does it for this final Seneca Scout episode in 2022.
Thank you as always for tuning in, and don't forget to join us again in 3 weeks for the first episode of the new year. We hope you have a happy holidays and New Year, and we'll see you again soon.
Happy holidays.